Daf base on base. Excuse me. Give me. Yeah, base on base. Base on base, and we're up to where it says that Rabbi Yosef China Omar. Rabbi Yosef China said, "Asir Seifa Michnosayim Ma'akvi." This is by the line begins with a little aleph from the Gillian Ashas. Okay, Asir Seifa Michnosayim Ma'akvi. Says Rabbi Yosef China, in order for a Kohen to become a Kohen, he has to first sacrifice. The first day he becomes a Kohen, he sacrifices his Asiris Haifa, just like Kohen Gadol sacrifices the pancakes every day. A regular Kohen does it once in his lifetime when he becomes a Kohen. And that and the pants are essential to his becoming a Kohen. Pants, of course, are part of the Big Day Kuna, but the putting on the pants is the formal vestiture of him as a Kohen. My timer, what's the pasuk? Zeh v'zeh asiyah. There's an elaborate explanation of Korban Eder here. It says by one of them it says zeh, and the other one it says v'zeh, and by both of them, by dint of Gzeir Shava, it says asiyah, that you have to do it. So bottom line is Gzeir Shava, this is necessary in order to be mechanech, and I don't know if chanech is the right word, to consecrate Kohanim. Okay? But of course, you should do to Aaron and his kids like this. Everything saying in the parsha is necessary. It's an impediment that's required in order for the kahuna to take place. Va'asya kai the omad the Mara Rishon Baranach, that's like Rishon Baranach, the Yerushalmi Yuma named Rabbi Yosef. Zeh dovar v'zeh dovar. Again, the same type of drasha. It says zeh and it says v'zeh dovar, and we learn it says that both in Vayikra, where it speaks about the actual miluim, and at Tetzaveh, where it speaks about the command of the miluim, and we learn out that it's so essential to follow exactly the letter of the law. Afilu kriyas parsha makevs, even have to read the parsha of miluim. You have to read parshas Tetzaveh in order to fulfill the exact letter of the law, that miluim, the 7 days of consecration of Aaron and his kids, should take place properly. Okay? Now, on Rabbi Yochanan argues, he says, "Kol ma'akiv l'doiros ma'akiv kan." Anything which for generations was required during the first 7 days in the midbar. Anything which is not necessary for all generations, Eino ma'akiv kan, is not necessary during the midbar. Ma'ischa, what falls into that category? Smicha in the korbanos, because smicha is not essential in a korban, and shiur domin, that the blood left over from the throwing the blood in his back should be thrown down, should be poured down into the yesod. So those are not ma'akim. Okay. Again, ma'islo smicha shiur domin she'eino ma'akim l'toros. It should be, as a big typo here, the Korban puts the word ein ma'akim kan. They're not necessary here either. Okay. Amar China said, "Tzitzum even its nefesh shel Aaron." It's the same which we had in the Bavli too. The tzitzum its nefesh shel Aaron, in other words, Aaron's entire garment, his entire wardrobe, including even the tzitzum its nefesh of Aaron. Koydem lavnetam shabani. You put on all of them before you put on the avnet of the kids. You finish dressing Aaron before you finish dressing the kids. Amar Rabbi said, "Hoda dato Amar lemitzvah." That's good. Yes, good. Rabbi Omer chagardo some avnei Aaron, but not true. You do them all together, meaning you finish they're putting on their garments all together. So it means that, actually it's not even finishing, but it means that Aaron and his kids have their avnetim put on all at the same time. And in fact, afterwards, Aaron will have the tzitzum mitznefes put on. So Aaron is not finished dressing first. No, put on everybody's pants, and then everybody's shirts, and everybody's hat, and everybody's avnet, and then Aaron, I guess, puts on the tzitz afterwards. But in any event, to machlokas, does Aaron get completely dressed first before you can finish dressing the kids, or do all do it at the same time, more or less, in succession? Okay, that's the machlokas. Says the Gemara, and the machlokas the Bavli as well. Says the Gemara, Amra Bita said, "Oh, that's Amra mitzvah." You know what? The truth is, it's only a question as to the command, and it was a mitzvah to do that way. Avalit Sivui, but well, actually, the mitzvah means it was. I guess the mitzvah here means the chatchila. Avalit Sivui, but in terms of the actual command. Now, here the actual command means what Moshe actually did. It's not what he was commanded to do, but what he actually performed. It says, "Vayakre Moshe Aaron v'Zbonav." It says Moshe took Aaron and his kids. Vayachatzos of Maim, and he washed them in the water. V'acharkach v'yiteinu lo his clothes. Then he put on them their shirts. V'acharkach Vayakre Moshe Aaron v'Zbonav v'Abishem Kutanos. So we have this obviously that everything was done together. In other words, there's a machlokas as to what the preferable way of doing it should have been. But Lamaisa, when Moshe did it, he did it all their pants together and all their shirts together and so on and so forth. Rabbi Elazar said, Pashat Ulon, it's simple to us, Shebecholuk Lov and Shimish Moshe B'Kuna Gdul Gdola, that Moshe Rabbeinu served as a Kohen Gadol in a white garment. Now this, in fact, it's not clear from Rabbi Yossi himself. There is an opinion that Moshe Rabbeinu all 40 years in the Midbar could serve as a Kohen. It wasn't just limited to the 7 days of Miluim. He has the rights of a Kohen Gadol, and the evidence for that is the fact that Moshe Rabbeinu can go into Kodesh Kodashim all the time, right? So it must be that Moshe Rabbeinu had certain elements of a Kohen Gadol. But here, Rabbi Tanchum Bar Yudin said, the time learned to the Bryce as well, Koshivas Yom, only specifically pertain to the 7 days of Miluim, in which Aaron and his kids were consecrated. Then Moshe Mishamish B'Kunah, only then but Moshe served as Kunah, not necessarily all 40 years. In any event, however, below Shors Shechina Yadav, the divine presence did not enter the Mishkan based on his service. However, it came in Shulav Hashem B'Dei Kunah Gedola. Once Aaron HaKohen put on the clothes of a Kohen Gadol, the Shemesh and he saw the base of Mikdash, Shor Shechina Yoda, the divine presence came through him. My time, what teaches us that? It says Ki Hayom Hashem Aleichem, the last day of the Miluim, the 8th day actually, after the 7 days over, that's when the divine presence entered and resided in the base of Mikdash. Rabbi Yosef Chanina boy, Rabbi Yosef Chanina asked, Asir Seif Ha'ech Koizel Kreva. Now this is talking about the last day of the 8th day, which is the day when that was it. Aaron was consecrated, so he had to bring pancakes. Right, he was a Kohen Gadol, but he was only consecrated midday, so in the morning he wasn't a Kohen Gadol. So in the afternoon of that day, how many pancakes did they bring? Did they bring all of them or half of them? Now, where a Kohen Gadol dies and there is no Kohen Gadol, we bring half in the morning, half in the afternoon. It's a sugi we had in the Bavli. I think maybe even in Yuma, I don't remember exactly where. But in any event, the question is now, when a person becomes Kohen Gadol here the first time around, right? When there wasn't yet no Kohen Gadol, he started in the afternoon. So the office was not yet created. So what was the status that first day? Was there a full korban in the afternoon, or was it only half, right? Hech kreva, chetzer kreva, half, or shlema kreva. So a very interesting proof. From that which it says, "Vayavo Moshe Aaron Ol Moed," it says Moshe Aaron came to Ol Moed, and he taught him there the Ketores. That's what it says on the last day Miluim. So Malami Tisha Shlo Boimo Elolamdo my Ketores only came to teach how to do the Ketores. So that tells us, the Amra Chetzia Kreva. That tells us only half was sacrificed in the afternoon. Why itself have a sacrifice in the afternoon? Because eat Tamar Shlema Kreva, the entire thing was sacrificed. Let's say that if in the afternoon the entire thing was sacrificed to pancakes, so then there's the first time pancakes are being brought. Moshe should teach Aaron how to make pancakes. But it says only that he taught him how to make Torahs. So it must be that the pancakes already taught him in the morning. I was yet Kohen Gadol in the morning. Must be even though there was not yet Kohen Gadol in the morning, but nevertheless, during the days of Miluim, they could be split in half. Nevertheless, and Aaron had brought half in the morning, that morning ready, and he was taught it then. You said, Nah, below avodah shebifnim anu kayomin. We're only talking about avodah sapnim, right? The avodah of the Ketores inside. Kvar limdo avodah shebachutz. Maybe you already taught him the avodas of the outside. Now, what I think that means is that the avodas of the outside were already consecrated earlier during the maybe even during the entire 7 days. Now, it's not clear from this Gemara. The inside, the Kodesh, was only consecrated on the last day of the Miluim. That's what's clear from here. Because that's the first time Moshe taught Aaron how to do the Ketores. But the outside, the courtyard, might have been sanctified already from the beginning of the 7 days of Miluim. So that's why he's saying that first day, the reason why it could be Takeh that he only he did the whole thing at night. All the pancakes together, not half in the morning. If that's the case, we should teach Aaron how to do it. No, he did pancakes yesterday as well, right? So initially we thought that he must have sacrificed the half in the morning, despite the fact that he wasn't yet Kohen Gadol, because it's going to become Kohen Gadol that day. There's more. No, not necessarily. It could be that during the entire 7 days of Miluim, we already had done the avodah shebachutz, the avodah of the outer mizbeach, and so on and so forth, and that's why Aaron already knew how to do it. Not because we did half that morning, but because we've been doing a sholem every day for the past 7 days, once a day. Okay, all 12 pancakes at one time. Says the Gemara, Omer Rabbi Tanchum. I skipped. No, I didn't skip. I went back.
No excuse.
Miluim Mahoyim. What was the status of Miluim? Carbon Yachid or Carbon Tzibur? Was the status of Carbon Yachid, Aaron and his kids, Karbanos, or is it Carbon Tzibur, the community? So, Mimad Chsiv, but that which it says, V'yismuchu Aaron u'vanov as Yedeihem al Rosh Hayil, right? They had to do smicha on the top of a ram. Adamra Carbon Yachid must be a Carbon Yachid, because there's no smicha on a Carbon Tzibur. No such thing. You only do smicha on a Carbon Yachid. So therefore it must be a Carbon Yachid. Says the Gemara of a tiny Carbon Tzibur. Wait, didn't we learn in the Brisa that the Karbanos of Miluim were Karbanos Tzibur? There's more Amr Rabbi Eid. Classic. I'll tell you that. Now you can make a comment. These not for Tzibur. The money had to come from the community. But then they gave it as a gift to the Kohanim. Okay? Miluim Mechalam. Says the Gemara. It says that they have to be, for Miluim, they have to be 7 days in seclusion. Where do we learn out these 7 days? Meaning, are they night-day or day-night? Is it like Jewish states or like non-Jewish states? Now, why would it be like non-Jewish states? Because Karbanos are like non-Jewish states, right? Our Karbanos, the night follows the day, right? So that's our Shiloh. Miluim Mechalan, where they derive, mean our Karbanos, from the Karbanos, which are day-night, or Ma'aser or from Ma'aser which are night-day. Meantime, I mean our Karbanos, if you're going to see, learn for Karbanos, Halaylo Lechachayom, the night follows the day. Meantime, Ma'aser learn from Ma'aser Hayom Lechachayom, the day follows the night. Furthermore, Meantime, I mean our Karbanos is really basically just completing the thought. In Temer Karbanos, in Temer Sebratius, no, in Temer Karbanos, Laila Achron En Lo Yom. If you go to learn out from Karbanos, so the last night has no day, right? Because it's a night, day, night, day, night, day, night, day, night, day, night, and you end of the night, right? It's a night without a day, because it's fixed to the previous day. In Temer Sebratius, the Karbanos Sebratius, Yom Rishon En Lo Laila. The first day has no night, right? Because it was night, day, night, day, night, day, night, day, but they only went in during the day, right? So says the Gemara, Tamati, we learned over there, Elu Moshchim. So very interesting proof. We learned over there, Elu Moshchim, Elu Manichin. By Lechem Aponim on Shabbos, and we used to do the changing of the guard of Lechem Aponim. You know, the British, they do the changing of the guard with soldiers. Of Jews, we do the changing of the guard with food. Okay? So, Well, we changed the guard and left my buddy, right? So it says there, the people, the choir on one side they pull, the other side they put down. The team and each one's fist is next to the other one. In other words, so the table should not be for a moment without a challah on it, without a challah on it. So it's done immediately. It says it has to be in front of me, tummy. Now, if you go down 2 lines here, you'll see Rabbi Yossi Omer. This really should be up here. It's out of place. You see Rabbi Yossi Omer? At the end of the line, Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi No, you don't have to have it constantly on the table. Even if these guys take and these guys, these guys, what?
Same action. No, but it's...
If there's a delay. Means they take it fully off the table. And then the other guys put it on the table. In other words, it's not ready, swooping down as they're taking it off, putting the other one in. Rather, let them finish taking it off, and then we'll put the new ones on. So he allows for a certain time lapse in which there's not going to be any bread at all. Okay? Rameir Tanakama, I said Rameir, but we don't know that yet. Tanakama says that we don't allow a time lapse, Rabbi Yossi says we do. Now, going back to where we were, Masnis and Rabbi Meir. The Mishnah says that there can't be any time lapse at all. That's a Rabbi Meir. How do we know that? I mean, Rabbi Yochanan, since Rabbi Yochanan said, Mo to Rabbi Meir should pirkos and Yishana b'shachar. Even Rabbi Meir could see b'di'evet. If they took off the old bread in the morning, Shabbos morning, the Sidrus HaChadosh ben Arbain, they put the new bread on in the afternoon, Shabbos afternoon, Abzulai so Tommy, this counts as Tommy as well. Okay? Now, how do we know this? That if you took it off in the morning and put it back in, took off the old breads in the morning and put on new breads in the afternoon, that counts for the Evid also. How do we know that counts? Shutcha. I'm going to reset Yeshivas, the last line here. The second last line. I'm going to whoever this is, Rabbi Yochanan, Yeshivas Aaron Ubonav Lomad Rabbi Yossi. Interesting. He learned from how Aaron and his kids sat in front of the Old Moed during the Miluim. It says they have to sit in front of the Old Moed all 7 days. But it's not possible to postulate that they were there all 7 days straight, right? So, Kamadate Meshivas Aaron Ubonav Tzarech Shim So Yoim L'Layla V'Layla L'Yoim. A very, very interesting concept, which they're probably not going to go into at all. You have to give over. What does it mean they have to be there all the time? They have to be there when the times shift. They have to be there to give over the night to the day. The day to the night. The Laila Yom and the night to the day. So I have to be there at Tezko, Shkia Tezko Chavim, and Amud HaShachar and Eitz HaShachar, those areas, right? Says the Gemara, so here it's the same thing, right? Over here, by Lecha Aponim, as long as they're there at the beginning and end of a period, meaning Lecha Aponim is there at the beginning of the day and the end of the day, even that's considered becoming, even in the middle of the table is bare. Okay? Says the Gemara, He says, no, you don't need that. You need only to have them give over the night, the day to the night. In other words, they have to be their shkia time. They don't have to be their sunrise. They can go home and come back during the day. They don't have to be their sunrise time, or I should say dawn time. They have to be their shkia time. Says more, did Rabbi Chia Bar Yosef, when did Rabbi Chia Bar Yosef make a statement? By Aaron and his kids? Says more, well, basically the answer is yes. If by lechem aponim, where it says Tamid ad Omar became Shemos Yom Layadayo, as long as lechem aponim is on the table when night turns to day and day turns to night, that's sufficient. Here, where it doesn't say Tamid, doesn't say by the Muluim that to say Tamid all 7 days. Well, kosher came. It's certainly we wouldn't need more than that, more than day given to night, night given to day. In fact, it says even less. By lechem aponim, you need the day giving, the night giving to the day, and day giving to the night. What here all you need is the day giving to the night and not the night giving to the day. Okay, so it's like a reverse kal v'chomer. In other words, he was saying that you need even less here than you need by lechem apayim, because the apayim says tamid here it doesn't. So in any event, it says more a very cool cheshbon, something which the Ritba speaks about at length here, and I did not see it all. All right, it's not in the Bible. It says more and Achkechos Amar. So you come out saying Adait Rabbi Yochanan Hayabo Sheva Hasham Sheva Midos Rishisha Piru. Well, it says all 7 days that they set of the Mishkan. So Moshe Rabbeinu took it down all 7 days and put it back up all 7 days. So how many times did he put it together? 7. How many times did he take it apart? Trick question. 6. Very good, right? Because the first time it was already apart, right? So he didn't take it apart, put it together the first time. So it's 7 and 6. Now, Al Daiter B'Chiba Yosef, however, Yoshamar Ba'asei Amidas L'Shlosh Esrei Pirukim. According to Chiba Yosef, it was 13 and 14. Because according to Rabbi Yochanan, you had to, you're not allowed to put up. This is given everybody. You can't put up the Mishkan at night. Oh, not allowed to. It doesn't work. Hakama Slayla and Hakama. Because that's being put up during the day. So according to Rabbi Yochanan, look, when can you can only put up once, because it has to be there when morning goes to night, right. And night, when night goes to morning and morning goes to night. It has to be standing. Because that's part, it says Aaron and his kids have to sit Pesach or Moed the all 7 days Miluim. And we're saying that Pesach or Moed, all 7 days Miluim, means when night changes the day changes the night. So they got to be all Moed set up and then to sit in front of, right? So that means it can only be set up and taken apart during the day. That's it. Because you can't have it, and you can't reset it up during the night, right? So you can't take it apart during the night. And because it has to be up for the next morning in order for them to sit opposite it when night changes to day. So according to him, you only have 6 taking apart and 7 rebuildings. According to Chiba Yosef, you only need them to be their shkia time, right? In the morning, you don't need them there. Because that's what he said. He said, Tzarech Shim Sar Yom U'Laila, but not Laila U'Yom. Right? So according to him, you could take apart the Mishkan 13 times and rebuild it 14 times. You rebuild it once during the day. First time you build it, let's say during the day. You take it apart at night. You rebuild it the next morning. You take it apart in the afternoon. You rebuild it during the afternoon. Okay? Now, that means you can build it twice during the day. Right. Once after having taken it apart at night, and you rebuild it the next day. And once in the middle of the day, you take it apart and then you rebuild it. So rebuilding in essence for Tamid Shel Shachar and for Tamid Shel Ben Arbayim. And they have a drasha, the Ritbat brings down a medrash, which indicates that we want to rebuild it, for as many korbanos as possible. But according to Rabbi Yochanan, it's not feasible. You can't rebuild it twice, right? Because you need it up at daybreak, and you need it up, so it has to be. If you do it part at night, you wouldn't be able to put it back together again at night. It wouldn't be up for the next morning, so therefore according to him, it was only once. Okay? Once a day. So again, Tani, we learned, all 7 days of Miluim, Moshe anointed the Mishkan, Umamido, put it up, Mefarko took it back down again, the Soda love is Avodas, and used to arrange the Avodas when it was still standing, of course. The Yom HaShmini, the 8th day, Amido, he stood it up, below Pirka, and didn't take it out, take it off again. Take it down again. Rabbi Yisrael, Rabbi Yom HaShmini, not true, even on the 8th day, Amido, he stood it up, Mishko, and anointed, Upirka, and took it apart again. Amrei Zir said, Zosamer, so our discussion here indicates that Shakamas Halayla Posel Avodah Sayon, the setting of the Mishkan at night does no good for the Avodah during the day. Ashkus Omer, so you come out saying, I'll die to Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rabbi Yochanan, like Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda, or you Shamar Ba'etzle Amidus Shosar Pirukim. Right, so you had 14 setting ups and 13 taking down, right? Because you couldn't take down at night, so you took down during the day. You took down during the day, you took down twice, one B'Tom Sheshach, one B'Tom Sheben Arbayim. Okay? Al Daiti Rabbi Chiba Yosef, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rabbi Chiba Yosef, according to Rabbi Yehuda, We put it up 21 times and took it down 20 times. And he brings down here the Ritbaz that the Medrash there brings down that they had 3 setting ups a day. One for Tamid Shulshach. Before we said one for Tamid Shulshach, one for Tamid Shabbat Rabbi, that gave us 14. He holds one for Tamid Shulshach, one for the Miluim, the special korbanos, the election socket, there's the special korbanos, right? And then for the Tamid Shabbat Rabbi. So we held there were 3 times a day they used to take it apart and re-prepare and re-erect it. One morning, one in the afternoon, and one in the evening. Okay, so we definitely also hold that that taking it apart at night, right? Taking it apart at night is valid, and the reason why you can do it at night is because he holds you don't need Aaron and Bonav opposite it from Laila to Yom, only for Yom to Laila. What? You take it apart once at night, leave it down.
I mean, which of these 3 opinions?
Who do we Boskin like? Who cares?
Okay.
It's after the fact. It ain't never going to happen again, so it doesn't really matter. Okay? So, says the Gemara, how do you know you have to take it apart? Zir said, I'll tell you from the Pasuk, it says, Vayiba Yom Klos Moshe, and Ched Bas, the name of Moshe completed L'Akim Es HaMishkan, which was the 8th day. So what does it mean he completed putting up the Mishkan? What, it took him so long to do it? What's it going to tell us? So it means that he completed the day in which he stopped putting it up. Till all the 8 days just to put it up.
It's on the Lashon Rabbim of the Kalos. Instead of Kilo, it's Kalos.
Oh, it's on the Kalos is learning it?
I think so.
You might be right.
Oh,
Kalos, Riboy. Maybe. Okay. Now we have a kind of parenthetical remark. Getting back to the Prisha of 7 days. I think that this Gemara is out of order. The next 3 lines should be elsewhere because it's sandwiched in the middle of a whole bunch of Gemaras about the Mishkan. We have this thing about Prisha Erev Yom for the 7 days for Kippur. But all right, in any event, it's not so difficult. Not difficult. Like we did this stage in the Miluim. Tiva Hashem, God command to for all generations, meaning for Yom Kippur and for Parah Aduma, 7 days of Prisha. Says more of look so then we already learn this drush of Kasher Asa. Says more, yes, but Chadim Shem Rabbi Yochanan, when we learned his name Rabbi Yochanan, the Chadim Shem Lakish just was the name of Reish Lakish. Says more Bishmini, what happened on the 8th day? He's studying that those who learned. He's studying that those who learned Nimshach, that it was anointed. He's studying Lo Nimshach, those who say wasn't anointed, because the 8th day was not already the Miluim, technically it was the day after the Miluim, right? Vahi Bayom Hashmini, right? So that's really, the 8th day is really so after Miluim. I think the 8th day was Rosh Chodesh Nisan. So really it was quasi Miluim, quasi not Miluim. So Shaila was all the anointing rituals which went out for the previous 7 days, that they had to be done also on the 8th day. So it's machlokas. Isaitai Nimshach, that they anointed, Isaitai Lo Nimshach, that it was not. Isaitai, those say was Nisparek was taken apart the 8th day. Isaitai Lo Nisparek, some say they take it apart. Rabbi Chanin said, Pashnu Armando Nimshach Nisparek. It's clear to us that the 2 things are linked. He who says it was anointed on the 8th day, or it was taken apart, because the anointed and taken apart are linked. Lo Nimshach says it was not anointed, Lo Nisparek, it wasn't taken apart. I understand the opinion which holds that it was anointed in the 8th because the same says it was anointed, right? And so what does he do? The pasuk said they anointed it. It says, nah, it's an agadic pasuk. If you did everything I told you to do, right? I consider it for you. As if it was lacking anointing, was shachtim also, and you anointed it. So it's like an ideal, not necessarily that was actually what happened.
Yeah, it's a literal pasuk in the Chumash.
Okay, that's not the first time. So as Bnei Yisrael sat in Mitzrayim for 430 years. It's a literal pasuk in Chumash, right? Man damar nisparek nicha. He who says the Mishkan was taken apart, I understand. The Chsiv says Shivas Yomim Yichapru of Mizbeach. They should tofen the Mizbeach for 7 days, which is Man damar told you understands Yichapru means what did Mizbeach do wrong? Just started functioning. It didn't do wrong anything yet, right? So you learn it's kapara is a language not of atonement, but a language of consecration. So it means that 7 days they took it apart and put it back together again. That makes sense. Madam Elonis part, but the person says it wasn't taken apart all those days. Mamakayim Shivas Yom Mechapro Mizbeach. What does it do with that which it says that 7 days is atoned for the Mizbeach? So says the Gemara, if it wasn't taken apart all 7 days. So it says Madam So he says that they should atone for the Mizbeach is not referring to anointing, but rather that I'm sorry, starting in the middle line. It's kapara with blood. Like it says, an interesting thing. In other words, that for all those 7 days they sprinkled on the Mizbeach the blood of karbanos, right? Because that's the way they consecrated it, by doing karbanos on it, sprinkling the blood on it. So says the Gemara, and in fact there's a parallel to be drawn. What's the parallel? It says it says that the person was the Kohen Gadol for the 7 days prior to Yom Kippur, and the Paraduma guy 7 days prior to Paraduma, there's a sprinkle on him Paraduma ashes from all the chatos which were there. Why bother? One it means that the water was in lieu of the blood, right? What's the blood we're referring to? The blood is referring to is the blood of the korbanos which was sprinkled on Aaron's kids during the 7 days of Milui. The other man, the Amar holds, Rabbi Yossi B'Amar, Tachas Adam, Tachas Shem Mishka, not just in lieu of the blood, but also in lieu of the Shem and Mishka, which we discussed just now. Okay. Now, period. Piresh says the Gemara, the Kohen Gadol separated for 7 days. Why? Ben Beseira. Ooh, I read that wrong. Piresh Ben Beseira explained why the Kohen Gadol was punished for 7 days. Why is that? Shema Yavo Ishto Nida. Because maybe he'll have relations with his wife who's a Nida. The Yidche Kol Shiva, and then he'll be off for 7 days, right? Because if you have relations with the wife who's a Nida, so for them 7 days you're tummy. Says what you saw, Nechshol Chashuv al Nida. Well, this Kohen Gadol is going to have relations with his wife who's a Nida. Chas v'sholem, how can you possibly question it?
Even if she's not Nida, he still is he's a Baal Keri.
Yeah, but that's only for 1 day. But Nida would transcend Yom Kippur. That would be the problem. So it says, well, no, it's not chas v'sholem, but it happens. An accidents happen. Like we learned over there. You have relations with a woman you thought was Torah. And then, normally, she said to you in the middle of having relations, hey, Yankul, I'm coming. I feel the blood coming out. So then, Piresh Miyad, if he immediately exits and interrupts the biyah while his aver is still hard, so then, Chayav is liable for biyas yisr shetziyasa anolo kabiyasa. When you leave the woman's body with an aver which is still hard, so then it's just as pleasurable leaving as it is going in. So therefore, you have to do it in a certain way. The Gemara discussed that you have to wait till the aver loses its rigidity, and so on and so forth. But in any event, we find that the person could have relations with the Nida inadvertently, so we're afraid he's going to have relations with his wife inadvertently. Now, this is more very interesting point. Achlas Amar, so you come out saying, Madam Rabbi Yochanan Tzichel Vem said, that which Rabbi Yochanan said we learn out from Miluim, 7 days, needs that which Ben Beseira said we're afraid he's going to have relations with his wife who's a Nida. We need that factor as well. Madam Ben Beseira, he who says that Ben Beseira's vort, which is the vort of the Nida, Tzilcha Rabbi Yochanan requires Rabbi Yochanan's vort of the Miluim as well. How so? Rabbi Yochanan Ben Beseira, we would just say Rabbi Yochanan not Ben Beseira. Did the Kohanim have to be there round the clock during the Miluim? We just got through finished saying they didn't, right? And most they have to be there twice a day, once from day to night, the other from night to day. So where did the Kohanim go at night?
their quarters.
They went home. So Aaron could have had relations with his wife at night. Or even during the day for that matter, because he didn't have to be there during the day, right? So therefore, if you learned out just from the Miluim, so I would say, have Ilu Amar Yochel B'Lo Amar Yisafin. I mean, Yerushalmi should be also. Let him go home, have relations, at least during the day. You know, have relations, they go to the mikveh, then be Mariv Shemesh. And you want to, and then the Yishalom Lishkas Barajin. He'll go at night and sleep in Lishkas Barajin. Habitzur Lida Amar Yisafin, that's it, but I'm sorry to tell you why he can't have relations with his wife, because she might be a Nida. And Ilu Amar Ben Meser, V'Lo Amar Rabbi Yochanan, we're just talking about Ben Meser, not Rabbi Yochanan. However, I mean, I would have said Yifro should be Mitaso. Well, Ben Meser is afraid of Nida, not afraid of, separating oneself from society. So if that's the case, let him separate himself from his bed. You know, Jews have twin beds. He'll sleep in the other bed. But let him sleep at home. So Rabbi Yochanan said to me, Rabbi Yochanan said that you have to separate him to a special office, like Miluim. With Rabbi said they complement each other. Finally, we learn call a Shokah Shariba Mikdosh. All the offices are in the base of Mikdosh, Paturas Mina Mezuzah, or exempt from Mezuzah, Chutz Milishkas Parahedrin, except for the Lishka Parahedrin, where Shahid Yel Kohen Gadol, where the Kohen Gadol dwelt, Shivas Yom Mishona 7 days a year. Rabbi said that 7 days a year is not considered to be true Dira. Afik Zera Gozul, rather it's a Zera. Right, really it's not a Dira, but we're one. The Bible said we don't want the Kohen Gadol to feel bad that he's living in someplace that's not a suitable living condition, right? So therefore he made a Xera that he should put up mezuzah, even though he doesn't really have to. Says the Gemara, what do we do with the following Joshua? B'shorecha. Says put up mezuzah in your gate. Saftom mezuzah b'secha v'shorecha. He's tiny, those who learn Prat L'Shari Harabayis says be your gates opposed to the gates of the Harabayis. Of the Temple Mount, Azoros, and the Azara. The other man number says the exact opposite, L'Rabo. But even though people don't live there, you still need mezuzahs. It says, Mandamar Prat, you said that they don't require mezuzahs. That's like Rabbi Yehuda. Yeah, because Rabbi Yehuda says they don't require mezuzahs, right? It mostly requires the Rabbanan, not the Raisa. Mandamar, you says that they need L'Rabos, that's Rabbanan, who says they require mezuzahs to the Raisa. Yoser Rabbi Yehuda. So says Rabbi Yehuda is saying very well. Matayim of the Rabbanon. What's the logic of the Rabbanon? In other words, why should Rabbanon use B'sharecha to include the Beis HaMikdash? Chi Beis Dira? Hey, are they? It's a place where you live. So he said, Rabbi Yisrael said, no. But you misunderstand. The gates are not chayiv because you live in the gates. Why are the gates chayiv? Because you use the gates to get into houses. In other words, if I put a mezuzah up on my front gate, it's not chayiv mezuzah by itself. It's an open air room. It's not chayiv mezuzah. But since it leads to somewhere which is chayiv mezuzah, my inner house, that's why it's chayiv. And that's what I was about to say. The reason the gates are chayiv is not because they're chayiv because of the rights in and of itself, but rather they're chayiv because they lead to the lishkas parhedrin. Okay, so it says the Gemara. It says Bisharecha includes Shar Medina, the gates of a district. How could this be Beis Dira? Are they a Beis Dira? Says more low. You're right, they're not, but rather Shebahed Nichnas in the Beis Dira. Right? You go into a Beis Dira through them, and that's where they're chayav. Well, and here too, in the Harabayis, since Kohen Gadol goes to his Beis Dira that way, that's why you Shebahed Nichnas Beis Dira, that's why chayav mezuzahs as well. Now, Chudas HaMoilim, once we're topic of mezuzah, a couple of more things. Chudas HaMoilim is if you have a hole in the ground in which you live. Anybody ever read The Hobbit? Where the hobbits live? What? The caves. So the chayvim mezuzahs. Chudas HaMoilim means a hole drilled by a mole. If you live in one, so you're chayv mezuzah, right? Of course. Says the Gemara. Another interesting one. Chalon shu arba al arba. A window which is 4 by 4 amos. Not a door. It's a window which is 4 by 4 amos. 4 by 4 tvachim. Sorry, 4 by 4 tvachim. No, arba amos. I'm sorry. I was right the first time. Arba amos. And you know what they used to do there? Shavadim yesh v'shal manifin l'raboneim. This may come as a shock to you, but they had no air conditioning in the old days. I don't know where they lived, but they had no air conditioning. So how did they keep cool? So they had slaves who sat in the windows and fanned the masters. That's what I'm talking about. So if you have this thickness of a window, which is 4 by 4 amos, and a slave sits there and fans his master, so then it's chayv mezuzah. That makes it a chashivas of a room. Okay, is that fascinating?
No, you don't go in and out.
Right, doesn't matter. It's still considered to be a room. Right? Now let's say you have skylights, one above the other. And so the skylights ladders go. They didn't have proper staircases. They used ladders. So they're all chayv mezuzah. Luli me'el gavel chayv mezuzah. Hey, the doris askopa araisa, because they all lead from the threshold on the ground or to the threshold on the ground. Not sure exactly to me what that means, but in any event, it means that they themselves not chayiv necessarily, but since each one leads somewhere else, which is a house, so therefore they're chayiv. Okay.
Word of rice is when you're not. What does this word of rice mean?
No, ariasa means to the ground.
Yeah.
Hein, these dudaras are the ones by which he steps. Askoipta on the threshold, arasa, which is on the ground. Says the Rabbi Yossi Avim Mitzvah. Rabbi Yossi just totally out left field. Rabbi Yossi Avim Mitzvah lo chama lulad Rabbi Eli. Rabbi Yossi would say he didn't see the head, the sky of Rabbi Eli, which a ladder went to have all they mean died in the korabana. Whatever he did. He all the days of all the rabbis. So the halacha is, by the way, if you have like one of these flat things, like they go down to the stores. In front of stores in Brooklyn, you have these things that go down. So that's not chayv mezuzah because it's not a standing threshold. It's not a standing. We don't know what we're talking about.
No, I don't. We go down to like a basement or something.
Yeah, like delivery things.
It would be a metal trapdoor.
Oh,
They must have them in Chicago too.
I've never seen it in Chicago.
That's here in Chicago. But I don't know. In Brooklyn, they're very common. So probably Manhattan, they have the same thing. It's like a loading dock, right? Even though they're like skylights, they stood in a way that you had a threshold and doorpost and lintel. So that's why they're chayv and mezuzah. And he was upset because there was some weird place, Rabbi Yosef's apartment. Rabbi Yosef said he never got to Rabbi Eli's apartment. To have only died to korban, he made his lulin in a way that chayv mezuzah according to all the rabbis. Okay, and he never got a chance to see that, and that's a pity. But we are not going to dwell on that this evening anymore.